Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Primal Series, Kah Lee and his Conquest armor. And I'm super hyped up about this. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom is a brand new toy line brought to us by SperoToys. It was done through Kickstarter a while back, and the figures are finally starting to ship, so it's very exciting. I did back the Kickstarter, so I have 6 or 7 of these figures on the way, but this one was sent to me by SperoToys. And they also sent through one of the Legionary Chitauri troopers. I did a review for the pre-production version of that a couple of months ago, so be sure to check that out. The one that I reviewed was like almost finished, but there were like a couple of things that were incomplete. The one they sent through along with this guy is, like the finished product. So we'll take a look at that, but this review is mostly going to focus on this figure since he's completely new to me. But let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with the packaging. Through the window here, you are able to see Kah Lee along with his weapons. Down here we get some graphics talking about the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom and all that. On the side of the box we get some really cool looking artwork. On the back we get a look at the other figures from the Kickstarter. We have some nice artwork of the character, a little bit of information about him, and then down here there is a little note mentioning that it might be a good idea to warm the figures up before posing them too much, because some of the joints could get stiff because of like temperature changes, and that does make sense. I think it is wise to heed that warning. I did pull one of these figures out of the box and I didn't have any problems with it. Like, I was able to move all the joints around, but I still put them into warm water just so that I can make sure that everything was moving properly and I had zero issues. So I do appreciate that they put that information on there for people that may not know. But anyways, enough about that. I do think the packaging does look good. It's small and compact. The figure looks nice in there. We have some cool artwork, and yeah, just overall I think the box looks pretty dope. But enough about the pretty box. Let's go ahead and get this guy out and take a look. Alrighty, so here we have Kah Lee right out of the box. And yeah, man, this guy came out freaking awesome. I really like what we have going on here. But before we get too deep into detail about him, let me go ahead and talk about the Chitauri Legionary figure very quickly. So about a month ago, SperoToys sent me one of the early production samples of this guy, and I was very impressed with it. I had a lot of fun reviewing it, and I thought it was a really great figure, but it wasn't a finished product. It was probably like 95% of the way there. There was just a couple of things they had to finalize, and this version is the final version. And I'm happy to finally have this because although I loved that pre-production sample, it wasn't a finished figure. So, he wasn't quite as fun to play with because he had some loose joints and things like that. But this guy is completely finished and it came out amazing. So if you want a detailed look at this figure, be sure to check out that video because all the sculpting work is exactly the same. He just wasn't quite finished. The main issue with the pre-production, not issue, but the main difference between the early production sample and this guy was that the torso wasn't quite fused together, so the shoulders were kind of loose. But aside from that, it was basically the same thing. But yeah, man, I'm so excited to have the final version, and I'm really happy with how he turned out. Like I said, I'm having so much fun playing around with this figure. The articulation on these guys is incredible, and yeah, man, they killed it. But this guy works as an army builder, so now I have that, pre-production sample, and I have this guy, and they could kind of work as, troopers for whoever, so really good stuff. But enough about him. Let's go ahead and talk about Kah Lee. Man, I think I love the design. I love the gold and blue armor. Look at this crazy lion face on the shoulder. And I love like how evil he looks. This guy is the bad guy of the whole series, and this figure definitely feels like this guy is a villain. Looks like a bully, man. He's got this like little cape thing. It's cool because like it adds to the look, but it's very small. It doesn't really get in the way or anything. But yeah, look at this guy, man. He is such a badass. The sculpting work on him is insane. There's a whole lot of details. And it's crazy because although, he has more going on than the Legionary figure back here, but all the articulation it's completely functional. Like nothing gets in the way. He's just as articulated as him, even though, he has more armor and stuff like that. So that's very impressive. But yeah, I think this guy turned out awesome. He does have a little bit of paint rub in certain areas. Nothing major, but like on the back, like in here, there's a little bit of paint rub. And a little bit in the shoulders, but nothing to be too concerned about. Like nothing that is going to catch your eye or anything like that. But I did notice it as I was messing around with the figure. And I did warm him up a little bit to get all the joints loose. Right out of the box, he was okay, but things were a little tight, so I did put him in some warm water just for a few minutes. And after doing that, everything moved freely and the figure felt amazing. But yeah, I'm having a whole lot of fun playing around with this figure. I wasn't expecting these guys to be so like hand friendly, you know. They're awesome to like pose around. But you know, we'll talk about that when we get to the articulation. But that's one thing that really stood out about both of these figures. They're just so much fun to play with. But yeah, this thing it looks incredible. But let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at the details on them because they killed it when it comes to all that stuff. I think the details are very well done on this guy. I do like the way this face looks, but I kind of wish that he came with another head that had like a more, you know, like a more aggressive facial expression or something just with a little bit more attitude. He does look a little bored, but at the same time, he does kind of have a stone cold killer vibe too, you know. So it's cool. It's a good head sculpt for sure, but I just wish that he had something that looked a little bit more animated, I would say, or just something that had a little bit more attitude. But the details on here are well done. You can see that the face does have some nice texture and stuff. The hair looks good. And yeah, this head sculpt is very well done. But then moving down into the body, that's where things get crazy. There's all kinds of nice detail on this armor, and I love the way the blue and the gold looks together. There are some areas that have a little bit of paint rub kind of, like in the shoulders here. It's a little tight, so now I have like a little line right there, and then down in here, I was crunching it forward, and I ended up making a little mark down in there. So those are things that you got to be careful of. And there's a little bit of paint rub back here. That's not a big deal. So yeah, some of the joints are a little tight and things don't necessarily have as much room as they need in certain areas. But for the most part, everything is very clean and well done. The sculpting work is impressive, man. Look at that. That looks really, really dope. Then check this out. This thing is awesome. And I love the way they have it like to where it kind of moves around so it gets out of the way of the articulation. That is cool, but man, look at the detail on that. And the arms have some great sculpting work too. Look at all the designs and stuff everywhere. Man, that looks super cool. The paint on the hands is a little weird. I feel like the gold should have come down to the knuckles there, and then on the inside, you know, that little strap matches the hand color. But I think on the inside, it's because like if you're putting something in the hand, you know, you don't want the paint from the inside of the hand to rub against the weapons that you're putting in there. But still, looks a little funny when he's holding nothing. So, I don't know. Probably could have been done a little better there. But aside from that, not a whole lot to complain about. I really like the material that they used for the skirt piece because it looks really good. And you could see that there's a lot of detail in there. And it holds the detail very well, you know. Nothing looks fuzzy or ugly. It looks very nice and clean and crisp, but at the same time, it's very soft and it gets out of the way when you're moving the legs around. So that is awesome. Then he has the cape with the purple on the inside. Dope. Man, look at all the detail back here. Damn. Just some incredible sculpting work everywhere. On the legs too. Got the monkey looking feet. And this is soft plastic too, so it gets out of the way. Look at that. Awesome stuff. But yeah, the level of detail in the sculpting is really, really impressive. There we go. Look at that. Yeah, that's a cool head sculpt for sure. It looks like he would straight up murder somebody and not even care. Damn, come on, Kah Lee, you crazy, yo. But yeah, this is a great looking figure with some really nice sculpting work, some really nice paint, and yeah, just a lot of detail, man. It looks incredible. And he does come with a pretty good amount of accessories, including 3 different sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists, we have a set of open hands, and then we have a set of gripping hands. And then as for weapons, he does come with these 2 really cool looking swords. As you could see, he could grip onto them with no problem at all. And these things look really nice. I like all of these scratches and marks on the blade itself. It definitely looks like he's taken these things to war quite a few times. Yeah, so these came out nice, and he has no problem holding them whatsoever, and he looks really dope holding on to them. And they have a very unique style, like the blade has like a crazy curve here towards the end. And yeah, man, these things are really, really nice. And then lastly, he does come with this really cool looking gun. It kind of has like a pirate's gun type of feel, you know, or maybe like some steampunk elements in there. But the colors do match his armor and stuff. I think that is pretty cool. But yeah, this is dope. And I wasn't able to get him to hold on to it with the actual gripping hand, but it works pretty good in just the open, relaxed hand. And you could even get the finger onto the trigger. But this is a very cool gun. And, you know, for these characters, like they don't really seem like the type to have guns. So I think that's pretty cool that he has one. And I was looking at some of the other ones in the Kickstarter, and not a whole lot of them have actual firearms. So maybe that's something that puts him above the other guys, or actually just gives him like an advantage, you know, because he is like a bad guy. So kind of makes sense that he would break the rules a little bit and bring a gun to a knife fight, you know. And then now for some size comparisons. Here we have Kah Lee alongside the early production version of the Chennai Legionary figure, and then the official released version of that same figure. And as you could see, it's going to be very cool to army build these guys and have them alongside your other Animal Warriors figures. And then next up, we have them alongside one of my all-time favorite figures, the NECA Planet of the Apes Caesar. And then on the opposite side, we have one of the best figures that came out last year, and that would be the Nada Toys Wukong. And then next up, we have him alongside the NECA King Kong, but this one was repainted by Artman Customs on Instagram. Shout out to Nico, he killed that. On the opposite side, we have the NECA Golden Angel Predator. Next up, we have him alongside a Star Wars Black Series Imperial Stormtrooper and the Hasbro Fortnite Victory Royale Series Sky Ghost version. And then most importantly, here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. And then next up, we have him alongside one of the Valaverse troopers. I'm not 100% sure what this one's called. But then on the opposite side, we have the G.I. Joe Classified Bazooka. And then here's a look at him alongside the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and the Marvel Legends Black Panther. And then for the final size comparison, here we have Kah Lee alongside the NECA Turtles in Disguise Raphael and the NECA Archie Comics Slash. And then here we have him alongside the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection Red Ranger and the 40th Anniversary Masterverse He-Man. And just like the Legionary figure, Kah Lee is very posable and a whole lot of fun to play with. The articulation setup on these figures kind of reminds me of G.I. Joe Classified. There are some similarities, but I do feel like the joints on these guys work a lot better and things are better executed. You get a lot more range out of everything, and I feel like the joints work the way they're supposed to. So that is awesome to see. And yeah, man, they did a great job with the articulation. I'm having a whole lot of fun messing around with these guys. But let's go ahead and take a look, starting off at the head as usual. So at the upper neck, he has a ball hinge, and then at the lower neck, he does have a ball joint. So using both of those, he could look down to about right there. Things are kind of limited with this guy because of the design of the head. So he can only look forward to right there. And then he could look up to about right there. But as you can see, it's kind of restricted by the long hair. But if you want to get him to look up, you could always use the torso to kind of help you out there. So it's possible to get him to look up. But I imagine a character like this guy doesn't look up to anybody, right? He's the villain, so he'll be looking down at people. But yeah, it's kind of limited at the head. The head does move on that ball joint a pretty nice amount, so we get some tilt. He can look left to right, but again, kind of hindered by the hair. And then he can also tilt a little bit on that lower neck joint. So I like the setup of the neck and the head, but it's just hindered by his hair and stuff. And then for the torso, he does have an ab crunch and a ball joint at the waist. And using both of those, he could crunch forward a crazy amount. Look at that. That is awesome. Really nice ab crunch there. And then it could go back a really nice amount too. As you can see, the thin cape doesn't really get in the way too much. But look at that. Really, really nice. And then you can swivel on that ball joint, and you could also kind of tilt on that ball joint as well. So really nice stuff in the torso. I really like this setup. That's really where it's most similar to G.I. Joe Classified, but you know, I don't feel that any G.I. Joe Classified figure is able to get a crunch like this or anything like that. So yeah, they really killed it on the torso articulation. Good stuff. And check this out. You could get him into like a crazy crouching pose when you bring his legs up and crunch his torso. So really, really nice stuff. Yeah, that is awesome right there. So, hold on one second. I want to get him to look up a little bit more before crunching him forward. There we go. Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, really good stuff. We'll get back to the legs in a minute here. But they did a great job with the torso. And then for the arms, he does have butterfly joints at the shoulder. And as you can see, this shoulder does have like this armored piece. It's like a big old lion head, and it can kind of be adjusted as well. So that's good. Gets out of the way if you want to bring the arm up a little bit. And then when you bring it down, you could kind of cover the shoulder how it's supposed to be. So that is nice. Really good stuff at the arms. You could bring his arms up to right there. And these butterfly joints are really nice. They go back a pretty decent amount. They come forward, get his arms in front of him, all kinds of good stuff. And then his arms do go all the way around. And then he does have an upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. Bam, look at that. Really nice range. And then for the hands, he does have a swivel and a hinge. And most of the hands have like your standard hinge, but the right weapon gripping hand has that vertical hinge. And then for the legs, obviously he does have like this apron thing, so that kind of gets in the way, but they made the cuts like in perfect places so that it doesn't restrict the articulation too much. So even with the apron, you could get his leg up a crazy amount. He doesn't have drop down hips, but they really don't need it. Like the range is, you know, more than enough. So that's great right there. Then you could kick his leg out to the side a really nice amount. Damn, look at that. Boom, that's awesome right there. Damn, bars, pow. And then he does have upper thigh swivel. And like the hip joint rotates on the ball. They probably could have gotten away with not putting an upper thigh swivel in there, and it probably still would have been okay, but they put it in there, so that's awesome. And then he does have double jointed knees. And at the foot, he has rocking ankles. They rock side to side. You could bring them forward to right there. And you could bring them up a good amount, even though he does have like this shin guard. This plastic is very soft and just gets out of the way when you bring his foot up. There is no lower leg swivel though. But aside from that, this guy has like all the articulation you could ever want. And more importantly, it's all functional, and the figure is just a whole lot of fun to play with. You could get him into some great dynamic poses, and yeah, it's just a joy to handle. So I'm very happy with the articulation on this guy. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this is a really dope figure. I love the design of Kah Lee. He does have a very like evil emperor conqueror type of vibe to him, and I think that's awesome. The armor on him looks amazing. I love the colors. The blue and the gold contrast nicely with each other, and on the figure, I like how the blue has a matte color and the gold has a shinier color. I think those contrast with each other very well too. And yeah, the armor has all kinds of detail. It's extremely well sculpted. All over the figure, there's little designs and all kinds of things going on. I love the shine that the armor has, not only on the gold, but on the blue parts as well. They really did a great job with the design and executing the design. The sculpting work on this guy is amazing. The articulation is freaking awesome too. He's a whole lot of fun to play around with. Even with all the armor and the skirt pieces and all that, you could still get him into some really great poses, and he's a whole lot of fun to play with. The accessories are cool too. There's not a whole lot going on, but we have some multiple hands and weapons, so I'm happy with that. And he does have a little bit of paint rub, nothing major, but there are some areas where I am getting a little bit of paint rubbing. Nothing like too eye-catching or distracting, but it is there, so I did want to mention it. And really, aside from that, there's no big, huge flaws on this figure. That's really the only issue that I had. Aside from that, this thing is freaking awesome, and I'm having a whole lot of fun with it. And yeah, man, SperoToys really did an incredible job on this guy, and they're doing a great job on the entire line. The only other figure I have is the Chennari Legionary figures, and I think those things are super dope, but I really can't wait to get Pale, or like the guys that have a little less armor. I really can't wait to see how those guys turned out. I cannot wait to get my Kickstarter order. Like I said before, this one was sent to me by SperoToys, so huge shout out to them for hooking it up and letting me take a look at this. But yeah, I cannot wait for my order because there's all kinds of different characters that I got in there. Honestly, I forgot what I actually ordered because the Kickstarter ended like a couple of years ago at this point, so I wasn't even sure what I had. But the other day, I got the tracking for my order from SperoToys, and I was taking a look at all the different figures that I have incoming, and I was like, man, I forgot that I even ordered these. So I'm all excited. I cannot wait to take a look at them. But yeah, man, SperoToys is definitely killing it. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. If you're not aware, I go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and every Friday at 7 p.m. And I'm trying to figure out my time slot for my comic book live stream. It's either going to be on Saturdays or Sunday. I'm still working it out. But anyways, thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate you guys. Peace.